Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Mobile Fighter G Gundam podcast that used its powers to defeat its enemies one after the other. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
And I'm Jason.
Spence is off tonight. And today we're discussing Mobile Fighter G Gundam Episode 28, Domon Targeted, the Assassin's Staff.
But first we've got to talk about this theme song, because I don't know that I do trust Domon forever, really. Like, I think that's pretty much straight up not something
I trust Domon as far as I can throw him.
What I liked best about that, though, was I'm reading the subtitles, and I'm going through, and there's some, like, hard-coded subtitles in the actual intro, and some of them are in English. They don't match up with the actual English translation. Great job, Jen.
No, Japan will do that, especially in the 90s.
Listen, I honestly, at this point, they could just go back to the original theme song. Like, this new theme song doesn't really move me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
The song itself, I'm, not big on, but the actual animated sequence, like that opening, even though, of course, we're always getting a lot of reused footage, but I do feel like it has a lot of good kinetic, like, animation and things going on. It's a little bit more of a classic intro sequence, especially since you get the buckles right off the top, and you know how much I love the buckles.
Listen,
I do like the scenes that we get in there of the other fighters all doing stuff.
I want them to incorporate more Domon coming off the top rope, like how he went off the turnbuckle so he could make it to the tournament on time. Like, I need more instances of that, because I need these space turnbuckles to be tactile.
I would
lasers that are in space.
I would make a joke about how funny it would be and dumb to have one of them hit with the other with a metal chair, as in actual wrestling. But the truth is, when we get to the Viking Gundam, actually, let's not even go
Viking
there.
Gundam.
Oh, Okay, so I'm gonna put my cards on the table right at the top here. If you were to come to me looking for all of the episodes of this show that we've watched so far, if you were to come to me and say, okay, what is like the quintessential episode of this fighting tournament robot show, this would probably actually be the episode where I'd say, you've never seen another episode, just watch this episode and you're going to kind of get the general concept, but not necessarily what the show's about, because there's a lot other going on. But if you're just looking for a fighting robot tournament show, here you go.
Yeah, I think this is the episode you show someone for them to decide if they like the show or not.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot I love about this, even if it's fucking stupid. There's some really ridiculous moments in this episode. I know that I've compared other robots to GoBots before, but that man dialogue, okay, no, we're not going there yet.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Like, this, like, it incorporates so much ridiculousness from so many different things, right? Like, we talk about the bus scene, and but we didn't even talk about the, like, Miami Vice style, I'm coming to save you from Chibity in the convertible. Like,
okay, hold on, no.
Like, we will get there, but
the serial killer opening I also enjoyed.
That was a gruesome cold open.
Yeah, we start off with like a no dialogue, just like a red moon over the city, and this guy in possibly the worst outfit we've seen in this series. The one thing I'm very sad that we don't have Spence here is so that they can talk about this jacket, because this is an awful jacket.
Did it have tassels? Did it have tassels?
It's like what. I don't remember which doctor has like the really loud like rainbow jacket, but it looks like that. Like, it's like a blue collar and it's got like green shoulders and then orange sleeve. It's a mess.
Maybe he was homeless and maybe he put it together himself from scratch. He made it in a cave.
I think that like the idea is that we're supposed to think that this guy was killed because he committed a crime against fashion, and that way it's a twist.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it does turn out that he's blind, so we can't really hold him responsible for whatever coloration of his jacket.
Yeah, so we do get like a shot of that guy screaming and like like a tight shot of a staff with the like chains on it that ring every time he makes a step, like a Buddhist abbot's staff, and then we get the smash cut to announcer guy.
So, did anybody else get the vibe that this assassin guy was like Saisashi's uncle? Like we all love our two favorite Shaolin dads, but he was their drunk uncle that they don't like to come over very often, because he's dressed like them, he's even got the staff,
Well, he's Nepalese martial artist, so he's like a different sort of branch.
Yeah, this is very much an Irish situation. Well, maybe not. It does feel like it's, splitting the hairs a little bit, but I get what you mean.
More like splitting the candles, am I right?
That was a dope scene, though. That was pretty dope.
Okay. I do see that it does kind of jibe with Taisashi because they cram so many martial arts cliches into a tight 24 minutes in this episode.
Oh man, listen, you cannot no anime worth its salt will avoid either the blind swordsman trope or the one-armed swordsman trope. One of those, if not both, will show up at some point, right?
And the fallen assassin.
Whether it be the main character has to fight blindfolded, or fight someone who's blind, or something of that nature. It always happens.
So how do we feel, just step back a second, how do we feel about the name difference, right? Because I believe in one version it's the Eliminator, and in another version they call him the Grim Reaper.
I think that's probably another blowback from Wing, because we do get that cool shot of the skeleton over his shoulder.
Yeah, that was super Van mural. I was all into that one.
Yeah, I like the fact that they call him the Grim Reaper, but my real question is, if he's good enough to be your assassin, why did you kick him out in the first place?
Because that didn't make a ton of sense. I'm not sure why these Buddhists were kicking him out of a monastery for coming in second in a martial arts tournament
and losing his eyesight. They're very ableist. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, wait. You can murder people? You can cut thousands of candles in one strike? Oh, it would definitely take you back now.
Okay, but now we need to talk about the Viking Gundam, because it's time.
Okay, so, I just gotta say that Dragon Warrior protagonist has made some rough choices late in life, apparently.
So we move over to the Norse Gundam, what is the actual technical name?
It is called the Viking Gundam.
It is called the Viking Gundam, okay. And it's going up against Hans Bruder or whatever. And they conveniently have stationed this fight near the water, so the Viking Gundam can use his weird chariot mode and paddle around and attack with that classic Viking weapon, a bunch of paddles.
But he's throwing these paddles like he was a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure villain, and he was just double, double. He's just throwing them over and over. Are you using the Fist of the North Star technique with these paddles?
You can't. I don't care how giant a robot you are. You can't feel threatened by a man lobbing things at you from a kayak. That's just not going to happen.
Well, what if he lobs the kayak at you?
Well, okay, so then the turnaround, right? So finally he comes ashore briefly, and we see...
and his Gundam does have legs.
Well, yes, he leaps from the boat, and he does have legs, and the Schwartz Gundam, whatever the German dude's name is again, I can't recall, Brother Gundam, gets speared through a panel. He does a German ninja move, and he lifts a panel from the ground and gets speared. And I wondered how you guys felt about the trickery of actually, because you clearly see the Gundam himself get speared, but then it's revealed, ninja magic. It's actually the lower portion of the boat somehow that's been impaled instead. And how did you feel about the visual trickery of not just, it looked like he was impaled, but actually showing you him being impaled and then having the reveal that no, it wasn't really him?
The first thing I thought of was, I'm pretty sure if the Naruto fans watch this, they'll be like, well, how did they steal the replacement jutsu from Naruto? And I'm like,
Children.
Also, exactly. And then I also love the announcer going, it's that classic substitution technique. I'm like, wait, what? Like, like,
ninjas have been in this tournament for decades. It's fine.
Like, if the announcer knows this, wouldn't the Viking Gundam recognize the fact that, like, he might use that technique? Like, didn't you scout your opponent? Or wait,
I
or
have
did
to
you
feel
just
like
show up?
the Viking guy is like, yeah, so he's got the ninja thing going on, but he's German. How ninja could he possibly actually be?
Very ninja, sir.
I feel pretty confident that Domon's the only one in this tournament who's not aware of who he actually is.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, German guy, yeah.
At this point, I don't think that the Norway pilot bothered to comb his beard that morning, so he's not doing research on his opponents.
But I love the fact that throwing the paddles didn't work because Ninja Man and his Guyver wrist blades just, cuts them up. So he says, fine, let's throw something bigger. And he throws the boat at him. And I'm just like, you kind of had the advantage when you were on the water. It's obvious that the creators of this tournament favored you in this fight because they literally built a stage where you could use your damn canoe.
They staged it in SeaWorld just for you, buddy.
Yeah, and you decide to go have a terrestrial ground war with the ninja. No, and you obviously weren't running out of paddles, like, because you were. He was throwing them infinitely. Like, at this point, just wear him down. Like, don't these Gundams have batteries or something, like some sort of power source? Like, eventually they'll run out, right? Like,
the power source is machismo, as we have established.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, machismo is a tough situation when you're wearing that skin-tight latex bodysuit and a Viking helmet, though. Like, that's
his outfit.
Depends where you go on the internet, really.
Yeah, no, you make a point. You make a point. I believe it's the confidence in which you carry it.
Exactly.
And I will say they missed a golden opportunity with this character. Where was his giant clock? He had the Viking helmet, but he did not have his giant medallion clock so he could be the true Gundam hype man.
True.
I was slightly upset, but you know what? When we do the live, because Netflix likes to do all the live action anime adaptations. When we do a live action G Gundam, we need to have the Viking Gundam piloted by the one and only Flavor Flav, only to then be blown up.
Yes. So then, not Domon's brother chops that dude's arms off, and then throws him into the sea.
Like, see, you should.
And we are reintroduced to the cheers of those little munchkins that we all wish would be drowned. I mean, they're like, again, to go back to the idea that this is not necessarily the quintessential episode, but like you're going to get a little taste of everything. You don't need to explain to anybody coming into an anime who these punk ass kids are. You don't need to. There's no background there. You're just like, oh yeah, those are the punk ass kids that are going to cheer when this happens.
Yeah,
I did like Shibidi being like, "Why did you open a daycare?"
Yeah,
that was a good line.
Shibid is literally the only one. Like, why the fuck are these kids here?
Yeah, and well, that whole situation where he's trying to like make the moves with Rain there, and the kids are like, "She belongs to Domon." I'm like, "Oh my god, what are you teaching these kids? You guys watching Alex Jones? What's going on here, man?"
At least Chibity's trying to extricate her from a bad situation.
Yeah, like, and Chibity's like, Rain can make her own decisions. Rain's an adult. They're friends.
Listen, like why is Chibity the wokest one in this show? And he dresses his mechanics in bunny suits.
You get all of this sort of standard anime nonsense, and you're kind of playing into the, happy moment, and you really feel like you know what's going on. And then one of my favorite moments, not my favorite moment, but one of my favorite moments happens, where they're talking about the upcoming fight, and then there's this great reveal, but where Domon's like, "But it looks like you're already too late." And the guy attacks him. I was like, yes, this is why I came to this nonsense.
Yeah. One of the rare instances of Domon knowing what the hell is going on at any given time.
Yeah,
it is a great reveal.
But then he pulls a Zack Snyder Superman and just like starts this fight in the middle of a downtown area.
Yeah, well, no, listen. He does a little, like, he pulls in a little of the Master Asia machismo. That scene where he gets up on the bus and he's, like, standing there, ramrod straight, that's totally Master Asia style.
Yeah.
And that
like,
does...
he even uses his headband, like, as a cloth.
Yeah, he hits him in the face with it.
And the fact, okay, we haven't quite got there yet, but the fact that he's continuously having these fight sequences and we find out that a blade plays into the essentials, like, really inherently... shortly, but he never thinks to pull out his own sword. Also pretty hilarious.
Yes! You have a sword on your back. You spent like 6 episodes trying to cut trees with that rusted thing, and now you won't fight this man on a bus with it?
And those poor guys on the bus. Some tourist load coming in, they're coming to see the fights, you know what I mean? They've saved their pennies. Waiting for this tournament for years.
Oh, and also, when did double-decker buses become like the international favorite for buses?
Well, I assume just because it's Hong Kong in the retro future of the 90s that they just had British-style buses.
And also they must have loaded them with
that
C4
would never age poorly.
They must have loaded them with C4 and several gas tanks because this assassin, when he's attacking Domon, Domon gets rescued because he has a secret, because the assassin has a secret hidden cane sword that he cuts Domon with. By the way, one of the few times Domon actually gets cut, even though we know him to be able to catch bullets. He gets cut and then falls off the bus, and then miraculously...
Well, there's a whole sequence. So it starts out that Domon hops on the top of a bus, and then the assassin, who we do know is now named Kiral, cuts through the water spout he made by breaking a water main, and you see it hang there in 2 parts, and then he dives after Domon, and then they go through a tunnel. In which, we do get the reveal that he is blind, because Domon's he can't see me in this tunnel. I'm you didn't move, Domon, first of all. Second of all, he does get the lines this darkness is nothing to me.
Also, this is the biggest tunnel I've ever seen. They're on top of a double-decker bus and can stand up fully straight. This is a massive tunnel.
Well, Asian cities are known for their large, grandiose architecture that you can definitely stand up through.
The budget for roads after the apocalypse is actually really robust. So that's just
they got to move the robots on them.
Yeah. So Chibity comes along in his convertible, manages to pull Domon out, and this is a sequence. Okay, so they spin out and crash the convertible, and this is when I was inspired to realize that the series that I want to watch is more of an adult-oriented take on this, where TMZ shows up and is like, look at these 2 hotshot mech pilots in this crash. What the hell was going on? Drinking? What drugs were they taking? Totally paparazzi style, because, it feels like that should totally be the case.
Oh man, they get framed for cutting the bus in half, because Domon does have a sword on his back.
See, the question I have is, how do they dub Chibity in this scene in the dub, because it is kind of hilarious in the Japanese.
Oh man, it's literally my favorite part. It's literally my favorite part, because I don't know what they say in the dub, but in the Japanese, after they crash and the bus explodes and the assassin says, "I'll get you later, next time, Gadget," Chibity just goes, "Jesus!" He's just laying on the ground. That's all he says is just,
it's
Jesus.
There's a sequence of him just reading things in English, and he sees Domon's shoulder injury. He's like, "God damn!" And then he's like, "Oh no!" And then he crashes. He's like, "Jesus!"
Yes, it's the best, because it's just a non sequitur Jesus. He didn't say he didn't add anything to it to make it reference the situation. He just says it as an exclamation.
Okay, so to be clear, in the dub, he just, like, it's standard, he's like, where did he go? Or some nonsense. Like, it's not in any way fun like that. It kind of makes me wish I watched the other.
They should have just kept it as Jesus. Because again, it's like, it'd be like if I fell down the stairs, and instead of being like, oh, damn, I fell down the stairs, I just go, Jesus, and like lay down. Because he doesn't even get up. Like, he doesn't acknowledge that he's been in a wreck or he's in the middle of burning wreckage from the bus. He just says Jesus. And he's not even...
They didn't crash into a wall. They crashed through a wall is the other part of that.
Yeah, and like...
In an open, like, lander.
Yeah, and it's not like he's looking around at the carnage and saying Jesus. He's looking at the ground. Like, it is the best line. It's why it's my favorite part, because it's so ridiculous. Like, it's so good.
And then, like, Carol cuts the bus in half for no reason and then flees.
Yeah, although we do get an excellent, like, kung fu movie back in the day style scene with him and his bosses.
Okay, yeah. So we do sort of get, like, the cramped, we're like in a shrine after midnight to discuss an assassination, and there are a million freaking candles everywhere. And then, but like, he doesn't just like cut through a candle, he like cuts a candle, balances it on his sword cane, cuts all the other candles, then like cuts that one into 4 pieces. While shimmying out on his knees.
But it's all perfectly timed. So like, he threatens the one guy with the first cut candle, and then he throws the other one, cuts again to accentuate his point of that he's going to kill Domon. And as he says this, all the candles around them start falling apart, and the guys are like, oh my God. And then he shuffles out on his knees, and the candle he initially threw and cut that he used to threaten the guy falls into 4 pieces. That are
like Ito ain't got shit.
Yeah, like he's like Goemon who? Like, oh God, like did the Shaw brothers make a pass on this script? Like, did they make a pass on this episode? Because like, it feels super like kung fu movie, like over the top ridiculousness, and it's great. Like, it's because you don't, again, like you guys said, you don't need to be like, all right, this is what's happening. Like, anybody who's ever watched a kung fu movie, or some of the Shaw brothers stuff, or like Godzilla or whatever, like, you pick up on these tropes so easily because they are not subtle about it at all.
And then we sort of like get the flashback into what happened, because apparently Chibity has like done his research on this guy for some reason.
Again, why is Chibity the most competent of these Gundam fighters? Like, he's researched this guy. He knows his history.
For sure, I totally agree with you. But at the same time, all you have to do to get the backstory for this dude is read the manual for Street Fighter 2, because this motherfucker is just Vega. He's just Vega for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. He's Vega, and he got blinded in a fight. The end.
Well, okay, so he was part of like the Gundam fight 2 fights ago, and they don't show the guy that blinded him. I'm not sure if we're supposed to believe it's Master Asia or no.
That was an interesting hook, because that did leave me wondering, because if it is Master Asia, why is he seem to be fighting on their side? Although, is he? Because that's unclear. Like, there was a lot going on there, and then that led me into deeper questions, because like, wouldn't the Devil Gundam cells be able to heal him theoretically? Because we've seen them bring people back from the dead and do other fancy things.
Yeah. So he isn't working for the DG Cell crew. He's just like out to win the tournament himself, and he's just doing it shadily.
Yeah, underhandedly.
Like, these are very much Monster of the Week episodes where he's fighting like the Greek guy and the Indian guy and the Nepalese guy. And then, like, of these episodes, this is definitely the best one of those. But we're not we're about to get to the point where the plot starts heating up again in like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, yes, I remember now, because every now and then we do get a cut back to Master Asia and
Right.
I don't know, the guy who runs the Squid Games or whatever.
Wong.
And they're talking, and yeah, it's clear that they're not actually related to this dude. So no,
they're just sort of like, this guy looks strong. Let's throw him at Domon and see what happens.
So I do. Okay, so yeah, I think there is a hook here, which I hope we come back to, because they never explain who actually injured him. So
the way it built up for me was, I thought it was going to be like Chibity was going to be like, yeah, the U.S. Gundam pilot from that tournament is the one who blinded him, and I thought it was going to turn into like a Chibity takes over the fight to go against this guy, kind of as like to retain his honor type thing. But no, they don't show who it is, but they do give the Vulcan cannon sounds, because that's what he uses. And it's brutal, by the way. I love the animation for the flashback where they show him being shot. Like, it's pretty brutal the way they animate it, because it's like he's just getting pelted with these rounds.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where G Gundam's like, "Oh right, war is awful."
You remember that, right? Child pilots, right? See?
Yeah.
See? And but no, I wouldn't be surprised if it was revealed that it was Master Asia, because when he was using his not his version of the Epion, but the one he had before, was that the Emperor Gundam?
Yeah, the Kulong Gundam.
The Hulong Gundam, because I think it had Vulcans, but I don't think his version of Epion has those type of Vulcans, because I think it would have the ones in the top of the helmet like the main Gundam does, whereas the one that blinded him looked like it had them on his shoulders potentially.
Yeah, so we do see Kairal's Gundam, which is the GF1133 NNP Tantra Gundam, which is again basically Vega or Wolverine. It's got like 2 big Wolverine claws and a cool hat and sunglasses and like big hoop earrings.
Yeah,
for some reason.
And it's a massive downgrade to go to the one he uses now.
Oh my god. Okay, like no, I don't want to get there yet, because we got to talk about the German Ninja.
The Mandala Gundam could do cool things, but it's not doing them yet. But
as long as the string in the middle that holds it all together doesn't break, you're fine. So they're training. So they go through the flashback, and they're all kind of standing there on some logs in the edge of the water training. And it's clear Domon's having a lot of issues with how he's going to manage to defeat this Gundam in the upcoming fight, because it's been revealed that he uses his staff to keep distance, but if he approaches close, he's got this hidden blade that he can pull out, and Domon's just totally shaken by this. He doesn't understand how he's going to get past it. So, like any good brother, Hans Bruder shows up, and he says, "Be calm!" And then he hucks a log at him. And that fixes the problem. All right. Okay, cool. Cool.
Okay, but we do get a scene where Kirel like just shows up to taunt, and he's like standing on a leaf in the middle of the water.
That is pretty hilarious when everyone's like, "Why don't you attack him now?" And Domon's like, "No, wait. Look. He's standing on a single leaf floating on the water. That means he's perfectly focused. To attack him right now would mean certain death." And you're like, "What? How? Like, what better attacking position? This man is in the middle." Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, okay, and he's a blind man in the middle of a lake or a river or whatever on a leaf. His attention is keeping that balance on that leaf.
Yeah, you could throw a thing at him and it probably would work. But I did, according to the Gundam Wiki, even though we don't see the Gundam that blinded him, it was the John Bull Gundam, because that's the one that won that tournament.
I love these names, by the way.
Yeah, so that was Gentle Chapman, who is one of our big villains.
One of the Devil Crew.
You know what's funny? You said his name was Gentle Chapman?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really funny, is because in My Hero Academia, they have Gentle Criminal, which is a supervillain And it just caught my attention. I was like, so what is up with having these like roguish villains be called gentle whatever? Oh man, it just I just find it an interesting like transition down to these newer gen anime. But yeah, like no, like I
Well, it's like one of those. Whenever you get Salem fiction, the lady who's causing it all is always called Goody something. Like anyway. So okay, I did want to loop back to this though because the brotherly advice continues with this little pearl of wisdom that cracks this episode wide open. Hey, Domon, what if you just do what you normally do? Oh yeah! Oh, why didn't I think of that?
listen, I've got a list of my worst anime dads. I think I need to make a list of worst anime siblings, and Mr. Hans Gruber needs to be on that because he is so trash.
Well, to be fair, well, anyway, so the actual fight happens. They get the assassin decides it's not going to happen in an assassination style. They're actually going to have to fight, and for my money, like we've seen some Gundams, we've seen some windmills up in here, like we've seen some things.
Hell, the Viking Gundam had a canoe.
Yeah, he's coming in a kayak, chucking paddles, and I was still here for it. This is the goofiest looking Gundam we have yet encountered. And I don't want to give away anything, but the way it dies is exactly how I envisioned this toy breaking. This is some bullshit your mom brings back to you from the dollar store and is like, look, I got you one of those Transformers you like. And you transform it once, and the string that holds it together snaps, and the whole thing comes apart like Bruce Wayne's mom's pearls, and that's it. You're done.
Guys, he's not wrong. Like,
no, it's
go watch this episode and fast forward it to when Domon defeats this guy.
Oh, it's so dumb looking. It's like, okay, first of all, it looks like a bell, and then the top half of the bell opens up, and like a wacky waveable inflatable arm guy pops out.
And he literally, like, when Domon defeats him, he comes apart like if Mega Man, instead of bursting into little balls of light, he just fell apart. Like,
okay, but wait, we have to talk about this death sequence because first Domon fingers him so hard the guy nearly dies. Like, which is just the standard move. It's just the standard move.
Yeah, it's just Shining Finger. It's not even. He hasn't even opened up his little wings on his back yet.
And then they have to take out their Schwartz rings and have a little laser sword fight.
Right.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
They weren't gonna get out of that without like a one pass samurai sword fight at this point. Because we've done all the other tropes.
Yeah, because Domon because that's how Domon. Remember, that's how Domon revealed or got the hidden blade revealed to him. They tried the whole samurai pass each other thing, and he countered by slashing open Domon's pectorals with that hidden blade.
Despite the homeland and everything in question, I think you really hit it earlier, Hugh, when you invoked Ugami Ito. Like, this really does feel more like a samurai kind of fallen assassin story than it does, I don't know, whatever this mandala thing is supposed to be.
Yeah, like they're like, well, we can't use Japan because we already have like 4 people from Japan, and they only get 1 robot. He can be from Nepal.
Like, if they had made this fight happen either amongst buildings that they could run through, like tall trees, like it couldn't have been more samurai, right? Like, because it's that where it could have been they're running through the trees and the trees are separating them and then they kind of cross between them to clash. It's like the scene in Ninja Scroll when he fights the blind swordsman.
Yeah, I was actually thinking exactly the same thing. But yeah, it's all of those tropes invoked, which is probably why this is one of the most easily, like, here, just watch this episodes, because everyone knows these tropes. And yet, it's still, I should say, despite it being goofy as hell in places, it is a very watchable episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, it's a lot of fun. Basically, what Kiral does is, because Domon won't get in close to get the sword, is he can turn since it's a robot, the staff is on fire now. So he's just like, what are you going to do? Burn or come at me?
Yeah, I didn't know fire made you charge into someone when he literally turned, like when Domon is just standing there engulfed in flame. It wasn't like he was throwing the flames at him. Like he just was standing there on fire. And by the way, can we talk about the dangerous position of this announcer? She's literally standing like 5 feet behind a burning Gundam, and she's just like, "Oh my God, he's engulfed in flames."
We do get a little moment where it's early on in the episode where they kind of bounce off the force field that they're using at the edge of and I don't know if we've ever had that revealed to us. In fact, I think we kind of have it hinted, but the closer, you're right, the proximity of the fights.
In the episode with that other kid that tried to sneak in.
Oh,
on the roof, right, where he ends up stealing the Gundam,
right.
and nearly getting killed by the body condom. He should have died by the body condom, by the way. He should have been strangled to death by his terrible decision.
Yes. Like somehow this kid who's much smaller than Domon does not fit inside Domon's Sentai.
But yes,
yeah.
Domon decides to use the burning finger rather than burn, and then we get, the subsection call where, what's the name of the sword move again?
It's like slash burning.
Oh,
like,
the new one, erupting
God
burning
slash
finger, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's just a lot of
him using the sword. Like, you don't need a name for that. It's having a sword.
Yeah, like why couldn't you have just done the erupting burning finger? Like it's just your normal attack, but you had a sword. Like you didn't learn anything new. Like you could have just punched him, I guess.
Yeah, I just feel like we're gonna get variants of erupting whatever based on which enemy we're getting each week, but we'll see.
Yeah, pretty much. But so they do a one-pass sword move, and Domon's arm gets fucked up, and then Kural's just like, that was so beautiful. I'm glad I got the chance to fight you.
Like,
and then his Gundam pops, literally just pops, scatters all over the floor. His mom's gonna have to come in there and find all the parts, look under the couch. It's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, it's literally like if you dropped your Lego whatever, like, and it just scatters across the floor like it is the.
Okay, so that does happen, but that's not quite actually the end of the episode, because I did like the throwback to Hero where he decides, oh, well, I've killed a lot of people and I'm going to have to go make up for it now, but thanks for giving me... It's that standard machismo, like, you gave me the good fight, so I'm going to turn my life around now.
So the other thing in that episode is that the leader that he's been assassinating people for, who I guess is implied to be, like, the leader of the country, but, like, he's also a monk, so I'm not sure what that political system is.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Nepal's actual political system. But he's like, I'm gonna blow him up, so he takes our secrets with him, and Schwartz comes in and is like, no,
Schwartz
throw my head antenna at you.
He does his best. He does his best German ninja cosplay of Sailor Moon.
Yes, but here's the thing in that scene. He's like, he's going to cooperate, and we're going to bring you to justice. But literally the people running the tournament are assholes who don't care. They're just going to be like, yeah, he murdered a bunch of people, but a win's a win.
And also, didn't when they started this tournament, they changed the rules and said, now you can aim for the cockpit and kill each other?
Yeah, it's like, kill each other, we don't care.
Yeah, so, like, they don't give a fuck about assassination attempts. Like, like hell, they're the ones who were like, hey, isn't that the assassin guy who's been murdering his opponents? Put him up against Domon.
Yeah, they already know.
Again, worst Big Brother ever.
But my favorite thing is that, like, before Kiral goes to live in a cave and be sad for the rest of his life, or whatever he's going to do, or kill himself, or whatever his plan is to atone, that's not exactly clear, he's like, I saw the power of your friendship. And I'm like, are they friends?
Are they friends?
Like, I don't think Domon and Chibity are actually friends.
And honestly, I would say if Chibity says they're friends, it's so he can get in closer to Rain. Like, Chibity's end goal has always been Rain.
Yes. Like, Chibity is friends with Rain, Saishi is friends with Domon. They're kind of living on that guy's boats and the kids are around. Domon and Rain are awkward co-workers. No one in this situation is friends with each other.
No, I mean, Argo's in prison by a Russian dominatrix. Like, and the other one, and Fred is a knight. He's in the royal court. Like, none of them are friends.
They're all co-workers at best, and they're mostly like in a tournament trying to kill each other.
Yeah, like
power of friendship somehow.
Now, maybe on the flip side of that, maybe it's just previous shows we've watched that trained me, but I assumed he was just off to offer people a gun to shoot him with. So that was sort of my assumption about the atonement process. Like, I just assumed that's how it worked in Gundam World.
To be fair, you're not really that wrong. Like, when you watch a few more of these, it's a lot of just them dying or trying to die for no reason, really. Like, you could just say you're sorry. Like, why? Like, you could write a nicely worded letter, but no. I need to die for this. Oh man. So are we at our favorite moments?
I think we're at our favorite moments.
I can't even believe that I've held mine in this long.
Okay, go for it, Jurd.
So, something we have not mentioned this entire episode is that mine isn't even a moment. It's something that is recurring every time it's on screen. It's magical to me. I hope that it doesn't, whatever. I hope that I'm not about to find out there's implications. The blind dude he's bald, classic profile, but all he has is sideburns. That's it. Just the sideburns. No facial hair, nothing up top. It's like his barber was fucking with him. And it was like, oh yeah, you're good.
It's like Patrick Stewart tried to shave the thing goes around his head, but he missed the front parts because he was high in a treehouse when he did it. Like, and also, what is with the Geordie LaForge sort of glasses?
He's got this sort of like this weird, like, they're not sunglasses and they've got like a thing in the middle and it looks like they're kind of like stapled to his forehead.
It's like Cyclops got bifocals.
Yeah, it's like Cyclops visor.
Cyclops has got to read sometimes, and sometimes he's got to shoot things at longer distances. Listen.
But yeah, honestly, everything about this guy is a crime against fashion. Like it's just set up in the whole thing, man. Like, can anyone dress in the Gundam universe? Like, is there anyone with actual swagger when it comes to clothing?
Not until Wing.
You know what? You are correct. Trays can dress. That is true. Although,
okay, and Char can dress.
Yeah. Trace and Char both can dress. Mind you, I was gonna say, what about Dad from the White Base? The man with the beard?
Will Riker?
Okay.
All right, what about you, Hugh? What was your favorite moment?
So my favorite part was definitely the fight on the bus, because it starts out with Kira like running so fast that he overtakes a bus.
And he chases down a car.
Yeah, and it basically it animates that by like turning the lower half of his legs into like a blur, like he's the Roadrunner. And he just sort of like flies around.
He's got speed lines.
And then he just like chops the bus perfectly in half for no goddamn reason. Like, it wasn't even in his way.
One of the features I think that we probably, like, however many more of these series we do, the way the show is willing to blend the martial arts, like the physical, just dudes doing martial arts sections, with the actual Gundam fights. Like, no dude with a sword in 8th MS team is going to be cutting a bus in half. Like, you're going to have some planted, explosives in a bush or something, but not a sword.
This is the best. The Gundam gets its stupidest and craziest when it's outside of the universal century.
Right.
when you're not in the core timeline, so when you're not in Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, Eighth MS Team in those worlds, when you're outside of that world, Gundam is just excellent. That's where you get Gundam Wing. That's where you get G Gundam. That's where you get is Double O from that?
Yeah, so Double O is its own thing, and Double O gets ludicrous at the end.
It's so dumb.
Look,
What about you, Banks? What was your favorite moment again?
It's Chibity's non sequitur Jesus. Like,
so good.
It's so good.
Like, yep, that's the American dude.
Yeah, he loves Jesus. Like, it's just so good. Oh gosh, it's so good. And
in a slightly different era, though, like if you had just shifted this, I feel like they got the sweet spot. Because if they had shifted this to the American stereotypes of like 10 years later or something, all he'd be doing is going like, get her done. And be like,
God.
oh.
Yeah, like,
oh god.
I am very glad this did not come out in the early 2000s.
Oh god, he would defeat an enemy and be like, here's your sign. Oh god. Oh god. Whew. Thank goodness for the 90s and 80s.
Jesus.
Defeating a giant robot and then teabagging it.
Oh god.
Yeah.
The worst.
Oh, or they hold up their phone. This is for the gram. Oh god. Oh.
Anyway, join us next week when we start the new TikTok Gundam series.
You shouldn't say stuff like that because that's how Japanese commercials get made. Oh man, have a transformer become the newest iPhone.
Okay, so next week you can find out our show notes at nostalgiapilots.com. Find everything I do at hughjodonnell.com.
You can find everything I do over at Skinner.fm.
And I'm just on here. You can find me here and occasionally on Nutty Bites.
And find everything Spence does over at resonantmoon.com. Join us next week for Mobile Fighter G Gundam episode 29, Running Away, Saishi in Love.
Jesus.
We're getting so close, guys.
This podcast means nothing to me.
This podcast was so beautiful. I'm glad I got to podcast one more time.